Welcome to the Freedom Point Real Estate Podcast, where we talk about creating more time freedom through passive real estate investing. Passive investing in real estate challenges conventional investment wisdom. We are passionate about learning and sharing resources with others who are ready to transform their investing mindset. Quick disclaimer as always, I am not a CPA, I am not an attorney or a financial advisor. This is not financial advice, not telling you or anyone else what to do. The views and opinions expressed in these podcasts are provided for education and informational purposes only and are not necessarily the views of my employer, ADP. I'm glad you're here. Now let's dig in. 10, 20, or 30 years down the road, you might prefer to switch to part-time work or maybe just retire early or have the freedom to pivot and try other careers, and passive income can allow you that freedom, but only if you start building passive income streams along the way. Welcome back to the Freedom Point Real Estate Podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Dyer. In today's episode, we are discussing what kind of investor you are, and more specifically, in the world of real estate investing, are you an active investor or a passive investor? I've got a couple of perspectives to share with you on this topic, and I want to begin by defining these two in my own definition. So, an active investor to me means that you have material participation in the actual business you are working in, and as such, you are trading your time, effort, and energy to make that business thrive. Or being a passive investor means that you do not have material participation in the business. On the active side, I was actively managing fix and flips 10 years ago, where I was involved in the day-to-day execution of the reposition efforts. Contrary to active investing, there's lots of types of passive investing examples. For example, holding stocks in a brokerage account or an IRA that pays dividends. Technically, you're a passive investor because you're not working in those particular companies. You're just an investor in those companies, or similarly, like being a limited partner like I am in multifamily syndications primarily, where you're not the general or operating partner. As a passive investor, you are not responsible for finding the deals, underwriting the deals, raising capital for the deals, managing the business plan. You're just a sideline investor saying, here's some money and I want to partner in that deal, and just send me the distributions when there's some revenue. So in either case, if you want to be active or passive when it comes to investing, you need to understand why that's the very first step. So let's say you do want to be active, or you think you want to be an active investor. Is it because you enjoy being hands-on? Is it because you come from a construction or handyman background, or you get fulfillment out of doing renovations yourself? Or is it because you love dealing with people and building teams and building networks? Is it because you've seen other people do deals and you say, I can do that better? Or I have some kind of unique skill set or competitive advantage that may set me apart from the competition? Or is it just because you want to build your foundation for real estate and do it in a hands-on manner, with the expectation that one day you'll inevitably move to more of a passive role in the business? So you can think of it like going to a restaurant. You can either go to a restaurant as a passive consumer, where you just pay some money and someone else cooks for you and you enjoy the food and you walk out the door. Or you can go to a restaurant and say, this food's terrible. I think I can do way better. The atmosphere is bad, the service is bad, the location is poor. I'm going to launch my own restaurant because I think I can do it better. And I think I can be successful at doing it. So alternatively, if you're looking to be a hands-off investor, or what I refer to as a passive investor, is it because you just don't have the time or the skill set to allocate towards doing your own real estate deals? Is it because you're simply just looking to diversify part of your holdings, maybe away from the stock market into tangible real estate assets? Or is it because you feel like a general partner could perhaps have better connections, and do a better job at acquiring and adding value to properties and executing a business plan than what you could otherwise do. A lot of passive investors are simply high net worth, high income individuals who are laser focused on their own active activities outside of real estate. They could be an engineer, a doctor, a dentist, a lawyer, an attorney, a high-performing sales professional, a professional athlete. They have a highest and best skill set, if you will, or something that they enjoy doing with their time that generates income, and they're simply looking to diversify maybe out of the stock market. So by being a limited partner in a syndication, or by just holding an index fund or stocks with regular dividend payments, this allows the busy professional to spend more time on what they do best without having to allocate time to actively managing real estate. One of my colleagues years ago gave me some really good advice. He said, what you don't want to do is get really good at something you don't enjoy. So if we take the example of someone who goes to college to become an engineer, and when they graduate and start working in that field, maybe they feel unfulfilled. It's not what they hoped that it was going to be, but after all, it pays okay, and they have college debt that they have to pay off, and they don't want to go back to school and switch degrees, so they just keep working. Well, after a decade of working, let's say now their salary is $200,000 a year, and they're looking around saying, there's really not much else I could do to generate this kind of income, so I might as well just keep working. This is the classic example of the golden handcuffs. And before you know it, you wake up, you're 60 years old, and that was it. That was your working life. That was, in fact, the majority of your life spent on something that was unfulfilling, that wasn't your passion. One of my favorite quotes comes from the Proverbs, and it says, "One who works his land will have plenty of bread, but one who pursues worthless things lacks sense." I don't particularly like that proverb in terms of what it's saying. I just think it's very true. So here's some parting thoughts for you in this episode. Whether you're an active investor or a passive investor, or perhaps even a combination of the two, which many people are, I believe that passive income is something that everyone can benefit from. If you're a house flipper or single family renter, you can allocate a portion of your income towards building passive income streams. Whether you're an engineer working full-time, a high-performing sales professional grinding away at your quota, you may find that 10, 20, or 30 years down the road, you would prefer to switch to part-time work, or maybe just retire early, or have the freedom to pivot and try other careers. And passive income can allow you that freedom, but only if you start building passive income streams along the way. So I'm not suggesting that everybody needs to allocate all discretionary income to passive real estate. I'm not suggesting everyone needs to be a part-time worker. I'm not suggesting everyone needs to retire early. My whole thing is passive income allows you to focus on the things that you love the most in life and to move towards replacing your dependence on your W-2. So something to think about here for the week. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you found some value. If we haven't connected, I'm happy to share with you what I'm up to and what I'm doing so we can connect on LinkedIn, Instagram, or at startingpointcapital.com. Thank you again for tuning in. Have a great week, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for hanging out with us today and for listening to the Freedom Point podcast powered by Starting Point Capital. This show is for entertainment purposes only. Nothing said on this show should be considered financial advice. Before making any financial decision, please consult with a professional. This show is copyrighted by the Freedom Point podcast. Written permissions must be granted before syndication or rebroadcasting. If you're interested in connecting, you can find contact information at startingpointcapital.com.